Hello, Shannon.
Hi.
It's good
Hello,
to see
Tamara.
you. We are here for the Hopeful Hearts podcast, and we did our last one in Colorado where it was beautiful and we had wind in the trees and the river behind us. And now we are both back in Houston.
Yeah, I know. Wah, wah, wah. I got to spend an extra amount of time in Colorado and it was fabulous. And if you happen to follow me on TikTok, Shannon McGraw Carr, or I think you could look up Hopeful Hearts on TikTok.
Yeah.
And I've been doing a lot of posts about the different hikes that I went on or things like that. I started another series just about the various traumas and tragedies that I personally have suffered. But all of it was in Colorado, and it just felt so great and awesome to just be out in that, 60-degree weather, 65-degree weather in the midst of July and the beginning of
Mm.
August and then now it's like I feel weighed down.
I feel like Houston weather is oppressive. Like it just
Mhm.
Do you remember that Friends episode? Were you a Friends fan? You were a Friends fan,
Oh,
right?
yes, of
Okay.
course.
There was
Yes.
a Friends episode where Phoebe and Ross were arguing about like whether or not dinosaurs could be real. And they started arguing all kinds of science. And Phoebe said something about gravity. And Ross was like, you don't believe in gravity? And she's like, well, lately I'm feeling less pulled down and more pushed down. I feel like that's Houston weather. Like it just
You're pushed. Yeah.
pushes down. Like you go outside and it's like somebody's throwing a wet wool blanket
Uh-huh.
over you and it's 100 degrees. It's
Yeah.
gross.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one is going to put us on the Chamber of Commerce for Houston talking like this.
That is, that's true. That's true.
Please
There's
come to
many
Houston
great
in the
things.
summer. It's like an armpit.
There are many great things about Houston. We
There
shouldn't put
are.
down Houston.
No, we love
However,
Houston.
this is our
Summer
winter
is not it.
time. This is like our
Yes,
winter. Like,
it
so if I
is.
lived in Buffalo, New York in
Which I have friends
February,
that live there. Yeah. And they're done with winter in February.
right. They're like, I'm stuck in
That,
the house and I do not want to go outside. And that's all that we're
yes.
saying. We're not putting down the
Right.
people or putting down the area
No.
by any means.
In fact,
It's,
it's some of the best people in the world. It's just
yeah.
oppressive heat and humidity.
Yeah. This is how bad it is. And we will get on to what we were going to talk about. But this is how bad it is. This when we had our dogs with us and we were driving from Colorado to Oklahoma to Stillwater, Oklahoma because one of my bonus daughters is going to OSU
Mhm.
and we got the dogs out. We were in Kansas. And now, I mean, Houston's worse. Houston's more like that humidity, like you said, that wet blanket. But I will
Yeah.
say, so I'm going to acknowledge this. I know that there's been a horrible heat wave that's been going up and over and across to the east. So I understand that you guys
Hmm.
are
Everybody's hot.
sweating it out right now.
Right.
But in Kansas, it was, it just was so hot. It was like 104 degrees. We get out of the
Yes.
car to let the dogs, we had just, we hadn't stopped yet from Colorado. So it was time to let the dogs pee and have some water or whatever. They get out, they drink a little bit of water, and they literally looked at us and both hopped back in the car. Like, no, I don't even want to like walk around. Like, this is horrible.
Yeah.
So if your
It's
own
bad.
dogs are saying how hot it is,
It's too
then I
much.
think
It's too
it's too
much.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too much.
Yesterday there was a hummingbird on my feeder and it was sitting as my feeder has like little perches around it. And there was a
Uh-huh.
hummingbird sitting there and I swear it was going.
For those of you that aren't watching YouTube, she was sticking her tongue out and acting like she could not breathe. Let me
Yeah.
give a visual.
Right. Right.
Oh,
So
goodness.
um we have a lot of fun things. Not I shouldn't say
Not
fun
fun.
things.
We
It's
should
not fun.
never say that what we
We
talk
should
about is fun.
which I should, this is a perfect place to say, like, if you have little listeners around, this
Hmm.
podcast is not for little listeners. We
No.
try to be as appropriate as possible when we talk about dealing with trauma and abuse. And, um, we make light of a lot of situations, not not to make light of them, but because we have done a lot of work on our own healing journeys, we have so much joy on the other side. So we laugh about a lot of things, but there are some very serious things that we want to talk about. So if you are someone who could easily be triggered by talk of abuse or trauma, we want to let you know that we're about to talk about some things, some cult behavior, because we both watched,
Mm,
was it
the vow.
The Vow? Yes,
The vow.
The Vow.
And it was on what? What was it
Y'all,
on? Prime or HBO? I can't remember. Do you remember?
um,
My
look that.
HBO is a part of my Prime, so that's fine. But I wanted to say it so
Oh,
that if
yeah,
they could know where to
yeah.
find it.
Let me look. Um, but you start talking about it. I'll look where it is. I should have looked that up before.
So I will admittedly say, just like most of us Gen Xers, just like all of us that are part of the We Do Not Care Club by Melanie, whatever.
Yeah,
If you're a woman and you don't know about the We Do Not Care Club, then you need to be a
you
part of
need to
that
Google
too.
that.
But we all tend to like to watch Dateline and things like that. Well,
Uh-huh.
for some reason, I'm fascinated by cults. I mean, not
Mhm.
maybe because I was almost supposed to be
Yeah.
an initiation killing, so that for somebody to be in a cult, maybe that's why. I don't know. And I know
Sorry, that
she's
is not
laughing.
funny. I just throw that out there. Maybe because I was about to be sacrificed to the devil.
I mean, it's true. I that's one of the things I talked about on TikTok because
I was getting
probably
ready to
think
say, go
people
find her on TikTok.
I go find me on TikTok. I talk about it. It's true. It's a true story. If you don't know it, let me just go ahead and share it again right now, and then we'll get into the vow. But I was 8 years old. Tamara's laughing. Um, I know people listen to me, and they probably listen to Tamara even with her own stories and think
Mhm.
that we're full of BS, right? Like, there's no way that you all could have keep living through all these different things. But
But once you get
I,
to
you
know us,
know,
it makes more sense.
that's true. And God's like, these are the personalities that I need
Mhm.
so that they can laugh about these things. But we lived in El Paso, Texas, and my dad worked for Johnson and Johnson, and they were building a new company in Juarez, Mexico, called Surgicos. And I was 8 years old. I was in third grade, and my mom wasn't able to pick me up from school. She had a meeting. I went to a friend's house. I was walking home from the friend's house. All I remember, we lived on Pino Real Street. I mean, all these different things I can remember. I can't remember the name of the road, but it was kind of a busy road. I would, as an 8-year old, I'd call it a highway. I don't think it was a highway, but it
Yeah.
was a busy road. And I remember a young man walking up to me, and it was during that time of that song, Don't Talk to Strangers, Baby, Don't You Talk. You know that song? You know it. Do you know that song? If
I
you don't know
do.
that song,
Gen
anyway,
X
all
has
I
a
get,
song, like if you are a member of the Gen X, you know that there's a song for everything, for not doing drugs, not
yeah,
talking to
that's
strangers.
right. Don't talk to
Uh,
strangers.
yeah, they're all there. So, mhm.
So anyway, I the reason why that comes to mind is because I remember kind of looking at this guy getting very anxious and like because I was gonna have to walk either like we were gonna have to pass each other. And we were on the
Mhm.
sidewalk and in El Paso there's like all the the
Wow.
lava rock. There's not grass, there's lava rock. And I kept thinking, well, don't talk. Like I kept hearing that song, like, don't talk to
Mhm.
strangers, don't talk to strangers. And I was trying to walk around him and he wouldn't let me and blocked me.
Yeah.
And then he grabbed me and he knew my name. And he said, Shannon, the devil wanted me to get you. I mean, maybe that's wrong, but that's what I remember in my
Yeah.
head. and he grabbed me, held a knife up to my throat, and he was carrying me. Actually, my feet were dragging across the lava rock. And next thing I remember is him dropping me and then hearing my mom say, "Get the hell in the car." And what happened was is a stranger in a truck saw it happening and he stopped and he was running after the kid. The kid was 15. We found out all this later. My mom was late to a meeting, God's providence, in my opinion, had no idea, saw what was happening, had no idea it was me, saw me, was like crapping in her pants, like get in the
Yeah.
car. Anyway, they
Yeah.
caught the young man, and I guess through some interrogation or whatever, he admitted that he was a part of one of the particular gangs, cults, that I was to be his sacrificial killing to be able to have a part, like to be a member or whatever. So
Did they
anyway,
ever say how he knew your name, like how he knew you?
yeah, so I believe that like we were targeted because my dad was a part of that
Okay.
big company. And
Yeah, that's
so
what I
the way
figured,
that,
but
right. So people think, and so this is maybe another reason why I'm fascinated by it, because you hear one thing and so you just picture maybe what's in the movies or something. And there actually
right.
was, it was probably the worst thing I ever did was watch this one movie, and I can't remember the name of it, but there was a movie about a couple of college kids that were taken and held, and part of like kind of that same, it was a cult, and it was a satanic
Mm,
cult, but it was also the way the cults were or are, some of them are there, they're a mixture, right? So it's the drug,
yeah,
situation. It's also because what they worship is the satanic aspect, right? So it's all kind of mixed together, if you
yeah,
will. And there is a movie out there about the true story of and what would happen, and I that really got me because I'm like, oh my
yeah,
God, I can't believe that like that could have really happened.
yeah,
But that was also a time in my life that I knew God, like God showed himself to me. I don't know, it was just really like I was saved, like literally
mhm.
saved. And
Wow.
um I yeah, began to, so but that's not, I mean, the vow is not that, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know, it has its own sickness, and there's all different kinds of cults. You've got
Hmm.
what's the what's the one in Utah?
Well,
What's his name?
yeah. So, forget what that one's called. It's kind of like an offshoot of
The
Mormon
Mormon
faith, but
faith. Yeah.
Mormons get real upset, I think, if you say that, but or acknowledge that. But those people consider themselves like Mormon extremists, and they believe in polygamy, and
Hmm.
it's just they believe in like living um, a very simple life with no television. They do the dress like the
Yeah, yeah,
married
yeah.
woman dress and all that. I looked up
Right.
here just a checklist. This is a cult checklist for indicators of that you might be involved in a cult. There are things like isolation of members, where they are encouraged to be pulled away from their family, their friends,
Mm.
the society, to only be with each other. And there's usually an authoritarian leadership, so someone who is over the whole thing and is considered like the god or the master guru or whatever. There's a
Hmm.
suppression of dissent. So you're not encouraged to have your own ideas. No one's really allowed to think outside of the box of whatever that cult is. There's usually some financial exploitation. You have to be a member. You have to pay. You're encouraged to keep giving, keep investing. There's fear mongering. They really want you to be afraid. I think fear is a big hold over people that are involved in cults. So There's usually some deception. They may present themselves as being um, this harmless or even altruistic. They're trying to make you a better person. They're going to help you. They're going to heal you. But then they bring in guilt and shame because um, members are are forced to be shamed, or they're made to feel guilty for any of their transgressions. And some of those may be from their past, and some of them may just be that they're trying to question some of the things now. So, so the Vow, this show, which is on HBO, I looked it up. Um,
Okay.
the first season came out in 2020, but then they added on, like there's more. There's a new season. And
Hmm.
so it's about the NXIVM cult.
Hmm.
And so um, a lot of you have probably heard of NXIVM in the news. As I was watching this and talking to different people, they're like, oh, I remember something about that. Wasn't that where that actress was branding people?
Hmm.
Well, yes, that is what it was. But it started probably 20 years before that, right? Like the
Yeah.
branding was sort of the final,
The branding is what got them in
what got
trouble,
them caught.
basically,
Yeah.
and got them
Yeah.
caught. Yeah. And it's, gosh, it's fascinating. It is a slow, the first season. So I started watching it because one of the women that kind of came out of it, she's an actress too. Not the one that started all the branding, but she did get
Hmm.
branded, right? And that's when she came out of
Hmm.
it. She was like, what? WTF? Like,
Yeah.
because they got branded near their vagina.
Hmm.
And but let's back up a little bit. But I just want to say that she
Hmm.
kind of came out and realized this is not right and was like waking up, and then began this crusade of not only helping those that she got into the cult to get out of the cult, but to just spread awareness. And then there's another show that goes into different types of cults. So she's like on that show, and that's when I saw
Hmm.
it, and I thought, oh, I want to know more about it. Like, I want to
Right.
know because I was kind of like what people would say, well, isn't that about the branding? And like, what is
Hmm.
that? So that's when I started to watch The Vow. And
Right.
and I know, Tamara, you said this too, like that first season is slow
It's
and
real
it did
slow.
take me some time. Like I would watch it during my lunch break or
Hmm.
something and I would, but I felt like it's necessary to get every aspect of what they did. I feel like they were brilliant because what it showed was from the beginning of how is it that intelligent, highly educated, highly, gifted people can get drawn in and
Hmm.
then get so sucked in that it's a slow fade. It's kind of like
Yeah.
putting the frog in the warm water and it never knows that
Right.
it's,
It doesn't know that it's boiling to death.
right, right. And so that first series shows the whole progression of how and I can't even think of what the main guy Mark
Keith
something.
Rainier. Well,
Keith.
Keith
Okay, why
Rainier
did I
is the
say
guy.
Mark?
Well, because
Yes,
Mark is the guy that was married to the, like, you know,
right.
Mark
And
was Mark was
he's
one
the
of the
documentary
top
guy.
guys. Yeah, and he's putting this whole documentary together.
Yeah. So Keith Raniere or Raniere, whatever, he
Rainier, I
went
think.
as they called him. What did he decide to be called? Oh, he was called something.
I can't believe I forgot it.
I
Hold
know, I
on.
can't remember. I forgot it either. It's like,
Hold on. I'm looking here. Uh,
I mean, it's not God, but it definitely could be
no, it
like
was
that,
like
right? Like
prefect or
it started with a V, I want to say. But anyway, as she's
oh yeah.
looking that up,
So it was
um,
Keith Raniere and Nancy Salzman.
right.
So Nancy was like,
I
she
can
was
we
the
pause this because
psychologist.
I
Yeah,
need to pause it.
yeah.
Okay.
So we had to take a quick break there for a doctor call.
Yeah.
But so I looked it up. Keith Raniere was called Vanguard.
Vanguard. I
That's
knew
what they called him.
like
So, like, yeah, it's so weird. So he had started this company that was like it was about human potential, was what, the description was. And about how we only use so much of our brain and how our emotions are tied in. And so Nancy Salzman was, I think she was a psychologist, and
mhm.
she was very interested in this study of, brain science. And in the beginning, I feel like a lot of the stuff that they were putting out there made sense. Like, I
Mhm.
think that's why it was
Absolutely.
easy. It was easy for people to get involved, to want to learn more. Excuse me. We are nothing but professional today. Oh my gosh. But it was about being able to control your emotions. You can talk
Yeah.
for a minute.
Okay. So
Sorry.
no, absolutely. So I do believe that Nancy, like, she was legit coming into an understanding of the
Hmm.
brain. And they
Yeah.
ultimately, you don't find this out until the second season, or I didn't pay attention to get this
Mm,
big part, but that they were doing some really radical, very good work on like those that have Tourette's and
yeah.
things like that, and how to help, overcome some of those
Hmm.
tics and all of that. And it was this is legit science, legit work.
It
Had
really
nothing to
is.
do with, a cult of any kind. But what I gather and what happened is that Keith Vanguard, whatever,
Yeah.
decided that like he wanted to take what she had and he, by the way, we need to mention like he's highly, highly intelligent as well. Like he is a high,
Hmm.
high, high uh
High
what do you call
IQ.
it? IQ, thank you.
Hmm.
And so there was a lot that he was doing that was good. And there was
Hmm.
in the beginning he was doing good work. And I think he
Right.
partnered with Nancy with the idea of like we can help change people and help improve them and their state of being, easily.
Yeah.
And so I think
I also
there
think though
was
he
good
was,
intent.
yeah, I think that, but I also think, he was looking to get rich at it because he had been involved in a business before where he ended up lying and stealing. So I think there
Oh,
was
I
some of
forgot
that.
about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was some level of shyster in
Yeah.
him, but I think he saw what Nancy was offering, and he saw how smart she was, and he believed in what she was doing and the possibility of what could be done,
Hmm.
but also was like, how do we make money off this? You know.
Yeah.
So he created this group, this organization where people would have to buy or pay in to come to these seminars, these weekend workshops. They would have to buy curriculum. They would get these binders, and all this curriculum would be in there. And the more you worked on, being a part of this group, the more levels you did, like you started getting sashes, almost like Girl Scout badges,
Right.
so you
I
would
thought it was kind
get
of
these,
ridiculous, to be
it
honest, but
was,
yeah.
um, and how like some of the people really became obsessed with getting, like certain colors meant different things, kind of like in karate, how you have a belt, you would move up levels with that. Um, but as people started receiving help, growth, whatever you want to call it, in the beginning from some of the things, um, learning how to get over social anxiety, learning how to set boundaries, learning how to be stronger. They started, they would get their friends involved, get their family involved. And as almost like multi-level marketing, sometimes people will say that's a cult, but it's like, okay, I'm going to get more people, more people, more people involved, and people that are going to be under me. And I'm
Hmm.
going to teach them, and I'm going to move up in the ranks, and I'm going to get a better sash. Well,
Hmm.
as this went on, Keith Raniere started collecting women. I think I mean,
The best
like
way to say it. Yeah.
yeah, there was one woman that was considered his wife, but I don't think they were legally married. And she was like his wife for the longest period of time, but she ended up getting cancer and dying of that. But all along, he's collecting these women who admire him because he's so smart and he is so I don't know that charming's the right word because I don't think he was really charming. It's just he had this presence about him of like,
He was
I know, like,
charismatic. You know, when
yeah,
men
yeah,
are
he was charismatic
charismatic
and
or women too,
mm-hmm,
they're like magnets, and and he knew
yeah,
how to make you feel special. But again, this series and how slow it goes, but you do see suddenly it's like how he had these women just so enamored by him
yes,
and willing to be like, that many of them thought that they were dating him exclusively, but they
right,
weren't. And
right.
how they didn't know that, because clearly he's like kissing other women in front of them. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
because
know.
that was
It's
like a big
just,
thing in the group too. Everybody had to kiss each other on the mouth, men, women, everybody. Like you greet your brother with a kiss, which is a biblical thing. Um, but he made it creepy. Like we're gonna greet each other with a kiss on the mouth always.
hmm.
Um, and so all these women are thinking like, oh, he's paying attention to me.
Hmm.
I'm so special. Meanwhile, he's paying attention to everyone, and he's bringing all these women into his bed at different times.
Hmm.
And all of them, I thought this was interesting. All of them, when they kind of came out from under the spell, they were like, he's not good looking. I don't
No,
know.
he's not.
Like, because he's not.
He's
They
short
were,
and he's.
yeah, he's just, I don't know.
I
He's
mean,
not,
to
he's
all
not,
the short men, I didn't mean anything by
no,
that. I
but
just
like,
meant like, he's
no,
just not your
like the way
typical,
the women fell over him would
yeah.
seem like he was some kind of model when he was not.
Hmm.
Um, scraggly beard, big glasses. His hair was unkept and out of control. And yeah, but he had this guru aura about him. And so people they just followed him like crazy. And as they're doing this, they are putting more money in. They're making money because some of them became employees of the NXIVM organization. And he was really seeking out, he wanted actors and actresses, he wanted models, he wanted like he wanted famous people in, he wanted people who had political influence. And so this thing became so big that
Hmm.
even the Dalai Lama came to meet him,
Yeah.
which like it was weird because there had been accusations of sexual abuse by the time the Dalai Lama was going to meet him the first time. And
Hmm.
so he backed out of the meeting. But then Keith was like, he was kind of a master at covering up the drama and the accusations that were going on. And so he was able to get the Dalai Lama back to come and meet and sort of endorse what they were doing.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it kind of reminds me of like Scientology, which is also a cult, but they are really
Yeah.
focused on getting the famous people in because it legitimizes supposedly what they're doing. The famous people are doing it.
Right.
So he brought all
And
these.
who's was it Grace Kelly's granddaughter that was stuck in there? Wasn't it Grace Kelly's daughter, the older woman that's our age, I guess, or my
Oh
age, I
no,
should say.
that was stuck in the Nexium. No,
Uh,
the
it
mom was
it
the
was a
daughter.
princess.
Yeah, the mom was the daughter of like the former princess, a princess of former Yugoslavia.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Grace Kelly for some reason, but
No. Mm-mm.
I stand mistaken.
No.
But yeah, I mean, there were all kinds and of very famous people, and one that is mentioned obviously the most is and of course now I'm not going to remember her name, but the one that
No,
was on Smallville,
yeah, Allison Mack.
um, Allison Mack. Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Allison
And
Mack was
I remember
um
being back when this all kind of broke out a long time ago before they were fully charged. Because I used to watch Smallville. I thought it was a great show,
mm-hmm,
and she's a great actress, and I could see
mm-hmm.
that she's charismatic and she's very
Oh yeah.
likable and all the things.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but where it all came down to really getting them in big trouble is when Allison, well, I bet we come to find out in the second season that really Raniere made Allison do this or asked Allison or whatever the case may be, but to start this sorority within the group. And you had to be invited in. And, but what was unbelievable to me was that these women would come in, and that's when they created the brand. And the brand happened to
Yeah,
be Keith's initials plus Allison Mack's initials.
right.
So, and they would brand you right by your vagina, but you would be called like there was a master and the
Mm-hmm.
headmaster, and then you were slaves.
Slaves.
And the fact that these women would be okay, right, to be called slaves,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what color, what race, whatever, like, no. Like
No.
that in itself, even before even getting branded, I
Right.
don't know if they even knew that going in. I'm guessing they
Well,
didn't,
and
but
also to be a part of the sorority, you had to put up collateral.
oh, that's right.
So
Yeah.
the
Oh.
collateral was you had to give them something that if they released it to the public would embarrass you.
Mhm.
So it could be a naked picture of yourself, it could be a video of you doing something inappropriate, um, a video of you saying something
Right.
inappropriate.
Like a
Um,
confession to
yeah,
your sins that would really
right.
harm your
They
family and
even,
harm your
right, they
personal.
had people lie, even like they would video them lying about their families so that that would be their collateral. Be like, well, if you go against us, then we'll release this and your family will hate you. That's just
It's unbelievable.
it
And that you
is.
would be so like, okay, I'll do it because I
Okay.
want to be a part of this sorority.
Right.
And they didn't
And
even
they
know
didn't
they're getting
even
branded
know.
yet.
No, they didn't know they didn't know what it was. They were just told, I think the thing that's really going to help you get over XYZ in your life, the thing that's really going to make you happy. Like, I know we've sold you thousands and thousands of dollars of retreats and curriculums and all this. And you're still feeling that you're unfulfilled. So we think this sorority is really what you need. So before we even tell you what it is, you have to give us collateral. I
Right.
just can't imagine. I can't imagine being like, all right, well, here's a naked picture of my hoo-ha so that you will tell me a secret. I mean, that like,
So I could be a part of this
so I can be a
fabulous
part of this
group.
club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't either. And then to the initiation is being literally like straddled on a table as they
Blindfolded.
hold you down
Hmm.
and brand you with that brand. And it takes
Hmm.
like 45 minutes or something like
Yeah.
that you are
They would
being
do like a
scorched.
sexual act first to the
Oh, that's
woman. They
right.
would do like sexual act. And the women didn't, they were blindfolded, so they didn't know who was in the room.
It was doing it. Yeah.
They didn't know if it was Keith doing the sexual act to them, or if it was another man, if it was another woman, they had no way of knowing. But they all said, like, they could hear that there were other people in the room that just weren't talking. So that, but they had no idea who it was. And then they would
Hmm.
brand them. Now there was
The
the
one
one
on that
woman
was in court that looked, right? Didn't she
is,
somehow?
yeah. And she was like one of the first ones. And the one that said, um, she did not want to show any fear or pain. And so she like bit her tongue and she stayed quiet and didn't move. She completely disassociated during the brand so that she could like get the best of it or whatever. I mean, I'm doing air quotes because I don't know what that meant, but she was so into this organization and thought, well, clearly this
Hmm.
is what I need. This is the best for me. And so I have to overcome this pain and be an example to anyone who comes after me. And so she
Hmm.
didn't scream out. She didn't anything. And I mean, that's
Hmm.
so sad and badass at this age. Like I can't imagine how painful that had to be, like
Mm-mm.
to go through that. But so sad that she felt like, well, I can't fight back against this, and I need to accept this and go through it.
Hmm. I know.
It was crazy.
I mean, the whole thing. And then in that branding or the sorority or whatever it is, then all those slaves, like you then had to eat like a certain way, like you could only eat so many
Mhm.
calories,
Yeah.
like to be able to stay in it and be thought of by
Hmm.
the master, who I believe was Ranieri, Vanguard,
Yeah.
or whatever the hell he
Hmm.
called himself.
Yeah.
um, you were only allowed to have like so many calories, and so you had
Hmm.
each person had their main, like maybe their master or their main person that they went to, right? There was a
Yeah.
whole like you said,
The
just
whole,
like kind of like that triangle effect,
yeah, that pyramid scheme of,
pyramid scheme.
yeah.
And so you had to say, like, if I wanted to have a cookie, I would have to be like, Master Tamara, can I
Mhm.
have a cookie? It's, whatever, 100 calories. And you would be like, yes or no, if I
Yeah.
could or if I couldn't. Like everything that they ate,
And if I
everything they
said
did,
no, it would be like, no, and you should be ashamed of yourself
wanting a cookie.
for lusting after those calories.
Right. Right. And then
So these
so
women were
then so
like
you need to
wasting
go
away.
run 3 miles to make
Hmm.
up for the idea that you even wanted the cookie to begin with,
Yeah.
or something
Yeah.
stupid like
Yeah. It was crazy. It was
that.
so crazy. And then ultimately, the goal for Vanguard was like he had to sleep. He was going to sleep with all of them, all of this women, and
Hmm.
it was supposed to be like an honor for them to be able to
Hmm.
have sex with this man,
Hmm.
this disgusting man. And he brought in people from all over the world. He brought in a family that had ties to the Mexican government and brought their daughters in, and the parents trusted him
Hmm.
because he just had this charismatic way, as you say, of like making people believe that he could help them with all the problems in their life. And these people drove away and left their teenage daughters,
Teenagers.
teenagers, not
Teenagers.
not
Yes.
just like, oh, they were young. No, teenagers. They left their teenagers with him, and he sexually abused them
Hmm. Hmm.
under the guise of I'm making them better people.
Yeah. So the most fascinating aspect of it all, and what ended up getting them in the most trouble and convicted of like trafficking and
Mhm.
kidnapping and all the things, was one of those daughters was put in a room because she ended up she was, and the sisters at one point both had sex with him together, but then they both
Yeah.
started crying because of how wrong it felt, right? So here, then everything she ends up flirting with some other boy that's her age, and he gets so mad that he then forces her to go into a room and be isolated because she flirted with somebody else.
Yes. Yes.
And so here she was for 2 years. two
Yes.
years She was isolated in this room where they brought her food. They had boarded up the window. All she had was a mattress in the room. And during that time, as she's boarded up in this room, and there's more to say about that in a second, but then the younger sister, who was 14, I think, at the time when he started doing things with her, um, you know, she then is becoming so caught up in his just magic, if you will. She's being so enamored and doing things that no 14-year-old with a 40-year-old should ever have to do.
Right.
But the craziness about it is the sister that was stuck in the room suddenly, I guess, came like to her senses, took off the boarding off the window, like saw the world and realized, like, I don't want to be in here anymore, and walked out. She was never locked in.
Right.
She was never locked in that room except for mentally. And that is amazing in a bad way. I just mean, but that is amazing that someone can be so caught up, right? Like
Hmm.
so um just brainwashed that you don't even leave the room, and the door is there for you to open up and walk out. Oh, why does that have you emotional? Tamara's, just so you know, if you're not watching us, Tamara is crying. But I mean, I cry for her too. But I mean, I think,
I just think, um, I mean, it breaks my heart for her.
yeah.
How often and I think this is where some of the takeaway on a lot of this is
Mm,
how many of us get into situations, have been in situations where the intensity is so great, it looks so good, it feels so good, it seems like really fun, you know,
hmm
um, and we don't see the danger. And or we are trapped in situations that we think we're trapped. We don't
right.
see the way
And
out,
we
just
can't
like
get out. Hmm.
we can't get out. Um, and it's what we deal with every day, you and I, just with our own past, but what we deal with survivors, um, people that just didn't know, they didn't see their worth.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I even, the cover of that last book I
Mm.
wrote, Reclaimed, is the cage with the door open and a bird flying out. And somewhere in this, I make that comment where I felt like, I was held in this cage, but the door was wide open. And it was like God had to drag me out by my hair to show me, like,
Right.
you can leave, like, you can walk
Yeah.
out. But you get so comfortable in a way with the circumstance, and you don't realize you're right. Like, the right that you have. And
Yeah.
that's what they do within these cults, any kind of cult. I know we
Yeah.
started out with like probably the most dramatic, worst kind, but
Yeah.
most of these cults are psychological. They're psychologically based. And that to me is almost it's the worst because people coming out of these cults have to spend years to reprogram, if you will, and to and to get to a place where they can understand their true human right of having their own thoughts, having their own emotions, having their own feelings, having the ability to say, no, I don't want to do that, or no, that is
Right.
not right, or isn't
Yeah.
isn't there something wrong with this picture? Like
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't seem humane, or this doesn't seem um good, you
Yeah.
know? And it can take years. It could take years for to deprogram someone who's been programmed into these cults, um, because they're also surrounded. That's the other thing. They're surrounded by so many that believe the same, or
Yes.
that are also
Mhm.
being sucked into the
Right.
same, you know,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it's
They're
going against that
well,
flow.
they're all hearing the same quote unquote truth at the same time.
Hmm.
They're all being taught the same things. And it's so easy for us to look at situations and go, well, why didn't they just leave? Why didn't they just walk away? Or why did they fall for that? I mean, why would
Hmm.
those women fall for that where they were taken in a room and branded? Well, that's not the selling point on day one. The
Hmm.
selling point on day one is, do you have trouble focusing? Do you want to make
Hmm.
more money in your life? Do you want to have more happiness in your life? Do you want to find a partner that is going to love you
Yeah.
and support you forever? Do you want to
You
have
have certain
clearer
fears you
thinking?
want to
Right,
overcome, you know. Yeah.
right. They bring what they say are solutions in. And in the beginning, a lot of it makes sense. And it's like when you see a little bit of something good, you want a little bit more. So, um, nobody jumps straight to the brand night one.
Yeah.
It's a
No,
it's a slip
not
it's a
at all.
slippery slope. It's a very slippery
Yeah.
slope. And I think that, again, talking about takeaway for just average Sue or Joe on the street is, I think that's how it can be in any relationship, whether it's a work relationship or friendship or a romantic relationship. You don't ever jump into a dangerous situation willingly on day one, because it doesn't look that way on day
Hmm.
one. It always looks like a solution.
Right.
It's a solution to my needs. This is going to make me happier. This is going to fix me.
Hmm.
Or it's going to complete me. This person is going to complete me. Um, and then we give away our whole self
Right.
to them.
Right. Yeah. So it was, it's a good takeaway, and it is the aspect. It's,
Yeah.
you know, Russ made the comment because I thought, how does somebody even think I'm going to start a cult today? Like, I'm gonna,
Right.
I'm gonna, this is what I'm gonna
I'm
do.
going
And
to
he
be a
goes,
vanguard and I'm going to lead
yeah,
millions of people
I,
astray.
I want to be Vanguard. And he was like, well, I mean, he goes, what you're doing with Hopeful Hearts, you could have easily become something like that. I'm like, no, I couldn't. Like, excuse me for snorting. I snort when I laugh, but like,
Yeah.
oh, call me Goddess Shannon,
Right.
Goddess Tamara, follow us. People would be like, what?
Right.
But no, I know what he's
Right.
saying.
No, I
It
mean,
starts with we're here to help, right? We're here to
right.
help you. We speak with you, we work with you, and if we were to be a part of that mindset, I guess we could easily, if we were of the narcissistic nature of everything we do is right and better, and I want everybody to focus on us and not on God or whatever. I mean, that's what I'm assuming. I guess that's how
Yeah.
it all kind of, you get caught up.
Yeah.
There's another one I haven't watched yet. I want to, but I have a feeling it's almost what happened with this person. and she calls herself Mother God or something. It's also on HBO. I haven't watched it yet, so I can't talk about it yet. But again, it just fascinates me. It just fascinates
Right?
me. Not because I want
Right.
to become one, please, by any means, not at
No.
all. Not at
No.
all. But I
I'm
just,
fascinated at the behavior and the just the
yes,
dynamics of it and how it happens.
yeah,
And I think it can even happen in churches. And please,
sure.
if you hear me, this is not, I'm not saying churches are a cult. I believe
Many
in
would say the Catholic Church is a cult,
I
but we can
right.
walk
I
away anytime.
any will say many will say that any church is a cult. I
Yeah.
believe in the church. I believe that Jesus set up the church to bring people to him. I'm I love the church so much, but I also have seen people of power in the church, and it's because the church is made up of regular people, just like any other organization. Um, but there are people that can be in power that can get distracted by the power that they have
Hmm.
and can start using God's word to shame people, or can start using um, just using their influence to
Yeah.
make people feel ashamed. And I think that's a quick checkpoint. Like if someone is a leader that's trying to make you ashamed of who you are, and you
Yeah.
go, okay, this is not of God, because that's not God's way. That's not the way of Jesus. Jesus had
Mhm.
never had a problem calling people out on their sins, but he didn't do it by shaming them.
Shame, shame or guilt.
Sh- Yeah,
Yeah.
shame is not God's way.
Hmm.
That is the way of the enemy. So I think I
Hmm.
think that's one of the quick checklist things that you can go, is this biblical? Is this scriptural? No.
Uh-huh.
Okay, this person is
I
not
think,
God that they claim to be.
right. And I think probably one of the biggest things is to always listen to your gut. I mean, even just to kind of end our talk on the next again, the vow series,
Yeah,
many of them had moments where they were like, like, is this is
yeah.
this right? Or that doesn't sound
Hmm.
right, or but then they didn't trust themselves. They didn't trust their gut because
Right.
that is part of that programming of, don't listen to your gut. You need to listen to me. And I'm the one that
Hmm.
has the answer. So go ahead and put that aside. Everything you get should come from me or us and what we're telling you. But they did have moments of this, this doesn't, okay, this is odd, but I'm going to go ahead and then they just did it anyway. Like there was a whole program that Mark, the other guy that was kind of big in the program, but got
Hmm.
out and helped tear it down. But they were, men had to sit there and put down women or something, maybe vice
Yeah.
versa. Do you remember that aspect? And it
Yeah,
was
it was weird
making,
because it was like the men were supposed to be brought up to be protectors of the women. But
right.
yet they also did this course where it was like men and women in the room together, and they were like against each other. It was so
Yeah, it was bizarre.
bizarre.
And then even Mark was like,
Mm.
in that process of filming it, like, this is like something's not sitting well with me on this. Like, this
Yeah.
isn't right. But yet, well, I'm going to trust him. I'm going to trust Vanguard because he knows what he's doing. And the other thing is that everything was taped. And that is so fascinating to me. Every conversation, every
Yes.
program, everything was either videotaped or recorded because Keith Raniere felt that one day people are going to want to know who I
Yeah.
am and what
They're
I
going to
stand
know
for
how
and what
this
I
came
do
together. Yeah.
and how this came together in his mind or his weird way of thinking as people are going to, are going to worship me. They're going to think this is fabulous.
Yeah.
He didn't, I guess, realize that it would be the demise of him
Right.
because now you get to see his crazy. Literally, in this series, you see him, you hear him, and and there's so much of it that I'm like, I cannot believe that this is on tape. Like, I cannot believe that this is recorded and on tape. It's crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. It was almost like he wanted it, like he wanted to be his Bible. Like, this
Yeah.
is the proof of the words that I said.
Hmm.
In the end, I really did, like, my heart broke for Nancy Salzman in the end.
Yes. Yeah, it did.
Because even though she was there from day one and she did a lot of wrong to bring people in, including her own daughters, um, who were also abused by Keith. She really did have blinders on to a lot of what was happening along the way. She was so focused on the science and on helping people that she was kind of excluded, I think, from.
Hmm.
I think he sort of saw her as a mother figure almost. He
Hmm.
did have a sexual relationship with her very briefly in the beginning, but I think he was kind of like, oh, but look, I can get these younger,
Hmm.
beautiful actresses and all to buy into me and what I'm saying to. But he almost like he would go to her house every day for her to fix him breakfast, which was so
Hmm.
bizarre to me. And he would spend hours there. And she said at the end, she goes, I think people assumed that he came over and worked at my house every morning, but he came over and ate breakfast and laid on my couch for hours while I worked. And I was like, I mean, just the whole thing is so bizarre. But um,
And then to be like, okay, this is okay. I'm
yeah,
not gonna argue about this. I'm not
yeah,
gonna throw a fit. I'm not gonna,
right, right.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
in the end, I think when she realized what was going on, like when she found out about the sorority and the branding and all of that, I mean, she really broke down. She sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. And, um,
Yeah.
she was so, so upset about how the science had been tainted and how many people had been hurt by
Hmm.
it. So it was heartbreaking. The whole thing was
Yeah.
heartbreaking.
Yeah. But I do recommend if you're interested in this type of information, it really is worth the watch. And
Yeah,
but
it
to
is. And I would say
do
give
both
yourself a couple
seasons.
weeks to do both
Yeah.
seasons because again, it is slow, but
Yeah.
keep at it through the because you have to
Yeah.
watch the whole first season for the second season to make
Yeah.
sense and to appreciate the battle that they all went through in court. Like
Yeah.
you have to get all that. So
But
um
I love your takeaway, Tamara. I mean,
mm,
ultimately, I mean, how this
mm,
relates to all of us listening, is, if we're in a circumstance that, you know, if you need help, if you just need to talk something through, like, am I stuck and I don't even realize it? Is
yeah,
my door wide open and maybe I don't even realize that I have the ability to walk through.
right.
If you're feeling stuck in any way, any relationship,
Hmm.
any business, anything of that regard, I mean, that is who we are to be able to just talk with you. We'll just talk. We're
It
not here
is.
to convince you one way or the other, but we could help you sort out those feelings and
But we will point out if your cage door is open. We
right,
will.
exactly.
Or your bedroom door or whatever. We're not
Yeah.
we won't perpetuate the lies that you've been told, but we're not going to force you to walk out either.
Hmm.
We will be the one to say, hey, just in case you didn't know, that door is open and you can walk through it. Because we
Yeah.
want you to experience truth. We want you to experience healing. We want you to experience freedom. Uh, we want you to be able to find your voice. We want you to be the person that God has created you to be. So, if you would like to learn more about that and more about Hopeful Hearts, you can visit us at hopefulheartsministry.org. We have a lot of events coming up here in the fall. We've got some really fun things going on. So, if you go to our website, subscribe there so that you can sign up for our email list so you can be the first to hear about those events. Also, you can follow us on Facebook Hopeful Hearts Ministry. You can find us on Instagram, Hopeful Hearts Ministry, or if you're watching us now on YouTube, you've already found us, and we hope that you would like and subscribe. Same if you're listening, that you would like and subscribe. Those doing those things is not for our ego. It really just helps build up our algorithm so that more survivors can find us.
Mhm.
Because when we all gather together and we tell our stories, it takes the shame away, and it brings truth out, because shame only exists in darkness, and truth
Sure.
only exists in the light. So, Shannon, thank you for doing this podcast with me today.
Absolutely. I appreciate you as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. Love you bunch. And thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.